right, you already know what it is. Fourth Quarter Boy Sports. I am the illustrious Professor Lake. You know, I'm back in this thing. I can't leave y'all hanging. You know, it's a nice holiday week. The 4th of July is coming up in a couple days. You know, took me a little time off of work, so I'm going to be spending time with the family. And, you know, unfortunately, I won't have a whole lot of time to get back to making these videos. So what I did was I took a little bit of time out and I put together a couple articles I want you guys to listen to. Audio articles, let's just call them. You know, just give you a little something to eat off of while I'm gone. You know, I'll definitely be checking the comment section, so I will be, you know, looking at my phone from time to time, liking and conversing with you guys in the comment section. The first article is called Fantasies Do Come True. Why can't Matt Nagy's Bears be different for once? Optimism has surrounded previous Bears coaches and it amounted to nothing. Why can't Nagy be different? This is an article written on SB Nation by Robert Zeglinski. You know, if you want to follow him, his Twitter handle is @Robert Zeglinski. And again, this is not going to be forever. You don't have to get used to the computer voice. You know, if you want some Bears news, you want to hear some Bears talk, I got you. Holla at your boy, Fourth Quarter Boy Sports. I am the illustrious Professor Lake. Let's get into it.
It's never healthy to dwell on past failures, to revel in sustained doldrums because of what you're used to. The Bears haven't been to the postseason since 2010 and will start the 2018 season with their fourth head coach during that time frame in Matt Nagy. They've continually sold optimism with fresh faces at every turn, most notably with Mark Dressman and John Fox, and they've been burned quite badly on both occasions. But they're never firmly and totally defined by their past and what they've been through before. Just like any individual, our past experiences are mere reflections of what's gone wrong or right as we push forward to consistently improve in our lives. These experiences become lessons to protect ourselves or to let ourselves be completely vulnerable, because that's the only way to really experience anything when you're open. You're also only as good as what you've done for me lately and what you can offer in the future too. That's where "not for long" stems from the NFL's acronym. Your future and what you strive is who you are when proven. You're not defined by your past as much as how that's the prism through which others see you until you offer a new view. That's why the past is the past for a reason. The arrows, from all directions, are decisively pointing up, at least on paper. That goes for life, and football especially, for as much as the city of Chicago can often disagree with the recently and perennially disappointing Bears. Matt Nagy is supposed to be a fantasy, a dream come true, a shift away from the Bears' depressing past, not only of late, but over the approximate past 3 decades. Nagy, as a symbol and at his core, is a culmination to finally climb out of one of the worst periods in Bears franchise history. He's hope, a fresh face, and he's a different perspective than one. Sometimes that's all you need. In my favorite television show Scrubs, protagonist and Dr. John Dorian is known for his episode-concluding monologues that tie messages he's learned neatly together. The viewer learns about relationships and adversity with every tale spun, how to deal with similar situations in their own life. Of these monologues spanning over 8 years, where Dorian goes from wide-eyed intern to a battle-tested veteran, he saves his best for last. A monologue that's made me think a lot about Nagy's Bears. In the finale, after a promising and standout start to his medical career, Dorian is set to walk away from the fictional Sacred Heart Hospital. He muses about the direction his life is heading in. He ponders how his romantic experiences have evolved with the proposed girl of his dreams. He reflects on the changes he's went through professionally and personally at Sacred Heart, and he embraces the fear he feels in leaving failures and successes together for a greater opportunity to chase his dreams, about being vulnerable again. As Dorian steps outside the hospital for the last time after literally walking through an envisioned hallway of every person he's met during his stay at the hospital, he comes to a necessary conclusion. The conclusion that resonates with how these bears are being built under Nudge. How the ghosts, happy, and dark memories of his past have to stay in the past for him to live his life with a fresh glass half full and ultimately keep his promises to himself. As for the future, it didn't seem so scary anymore, says Dorian, moving on past his fear. It could be whatever I wanted it to be. After these lines, a short movie plays out with Dorian marrying his dream girl. It foreshadows them having a family together. It smiles through precious moments. Its triumph after every previously insurmountable obstacle the immature doctor once faced. The movie concludes, wiped away from his mind, and Dorian says something that's always stuck with me. A sentiment that continually holds true with what Nudge can hope to accomplish in Chicago. And who's to say this isn't what happens? Reflects Dorian on his envisioned successes. Who can tell me that my fantasies won't come true just this once? The Bears have been an emblem of failure for years. From that perspective, it can be easy to think, same old Bears, as soon as anything goes off kilter. That they're selling the same recognizable cannon fodder with a fresh-faced coach before the chickens inevitably come to roost. As they always do. No, instead, who can tell you that your fantasies won't come true just this once? Nudge is fired up now. There's no reason for him, or anyone else, to wipe smiles off his face until further notice. Kamil Kroczynski USA Today Sports. It's standard practice to let things play out when an NFL team hires a new head coach. A new face means a chance to start over. A clean slate with the world, or league, as your oyster. That initial period before a coach actually has games under his belt has been affectionately coined the honeymoon period, where nothing can go wrong. Where the organization is on track for a dynasty and unquestioned brilliance because the coach is saying the right things. The Bears have been no stranger to beginning anew. Nothing screams a lack of continuity like the primary leader of your team being jettisoned summarily. They're here once again on a honeymoon with not a care in the world. Nudge is their dream coach who supports them, until death do them part. Never mind that Nudge hasn't coached an NFL game yet. He doesn't have to. He's the perfect coach for the Bears until necessarily proven otherwise. The orange-colored glasses never lie, as the Bears have been through this dance before. Is it true that in Nudge singing the praises of his team in what feels like every possible media appearance this offseason, he might be inflating what his Bears are capable of? Absolutely and unequivocally yes. Is there any other way to approach such a difficult undertaking like being an NFL head coach? Or, for that matter, moving into what looks like an exciting era for the Bears? Absolutely and unequivocally no. When the Bears hired Mark Dressman in 2013, it was called a bold move. For a time, the quarterback guru had his mojo going. The Bears were on the verge of an NFC North Division title in the 2013 season at 8-6 before falling in the last two games. In retrospect, the peak of optimism for the Dressman era. 2 years later, after losing control of the locker room and Chicago going into an irreparable tailspin, Dressman was fired. When the Bears hired John Fox, General Manager Ryan Pace said Fox showcased obvious confidence, charisma, discipline, and leadership. Fox never had the chance to entirely show those personality traits as Chicago slowly unraveled over the next 3 years, winning just 14 games, which led to Fox's ouster this past January. Extend this feeling to any failed Bears coach over the last quarter century. It's always been the same story of hope and endorsements until it wasn't. Nevertheless, Fox's departure was the door that opened for Nudge. High's main tagline was that he's the best assistant Andy Reid has ever had after his hire earlier this year. Somehow, this descriptor feels like it has more weight and meaning. I know it can be difficult to fully buy in what the Bears have accomplished in talent acquisition and an obvious identity recently being imprinted until they prove it on the field. notch is only appropriately contrasted from his failed predecessors until he wins games and maintains Chicago as contenders. That's what this boils down to, and that's fair. But for once, the Bears have a vision with a potential franchise quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky leading the charge. They have a coach eager to unlock that talent and notch. That coach is similarly jumping at the bit to galvanize the rest of the young, hungry team mired in the NFL's cellar. They have more balanced organizational talent than they've possessed in a while. They're prepared to strive for something special the Bears aren't used to, but should become accustomed to with time. The arrows, from all directions, are decisively pointing up. At least on paper. With training in Bourbon is on the horizon, the easy stance to take is that you've seen this before with the Bears. Everything shown in the past half year is sunshine and rainbows, but empty calories. Once they have to come together as a football team, it'll come apart at the seams because that's what the Bears do. That's what Bears coaches do by extension. Gradually lose the reins. They're fluff and no substance. For once, let yourself be open to the clear direction for the Bears as a franchise. For once, be rightfully skeptical, but buy in until they show you it's truly not worth it. Give the energetic nudge and his brain trust a chance as they embark on this tremendous challenge to bring the Bears back into relevancy. This is football, and in football, as it is with everything, it's okay to dream. Because who's to tell you your fantasies won't come true just this once? Robert Zeglinski is the Bears beat writer for the Rock River Times, an editor for Windy City Gridiron and Inside the Pylon, and is a contributor to Pro Football Weekly and The Athletic Chicago. You can follow him on Twitter at Robert Zeglinski.